Well, good morning, everybody, and we're about to get started. Welcome. It's really great to see so many people here. A very important day in our country's history and for the city of Norwalk. We're excited about it. We're here to honor and celebrate the 35th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. I'm proud of Norwalk because we really understand how important this is. And we're committed to understanding and helping people who are struggling because they have certain disabilities that they can't navigate. And sometimes we tend to take that for granted. We don't have those disabilities, so we don't think about people that do. The city of Norwalk is different. As you know, going out in front of City Hall, we just put a brand new ramp out there for people who can get in and out of the front of the building. We're also committed to a complete streets program in the city of Norwalk. What that does is it gives us wider sidewalks, makes the sidewalks better, and it puts a ramp where the sidewalks are and helps people get on and off the sidewalk. People that may be in wheelchairs or people that may have struggled because they're walking with canes or other infirmities. And one thing that I've always thought about, and I think I don't see any of the state legislators here, but we can do it in Norwalk. If you park in front of a fire hydrant, you get a fine. If you park in front of if you park in a handicap spot, you don't have the handicap sticker, you get a fine. I think it should also be a fine for anybody who parks in or blocks a handicap ramp on the city sidewalk. So, I've got a few more months. Let's see if we can make that happen. Anyway, we're here to, again, like I said, to honor and celebrate the Americans with Disability Act that was enacted 35 years ago. And now we designate July as ADA month. So we're going to have a couple of speakers. I know our first speaker is going to be a little bit late, so I'm going to bring up Matt Pence, who is the CEO of the Norwalk Transit District, who also understands how important it is to help his ridership.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming out. It's relatively nice day. It's going to get warmer as the day progresses. I say this quite often, and it's been said quite a bit throughout history. First off, I'm Matt Pence in the Norwalk Transit District, as the mayor had mentioned, but mobility enables freedom, right? So without mobility, none of us are here. I don't think anyone sleeps here, even on the mayor's late nights. I don't think he sleeps, or I sure hope not. But we need transportation to get to where we're going. And mobility really enables that freedom. So 26 years ago, the Civil Rights Act was enacted. 26 years after the Civil Rights Act was enacted, the Americans with Disability Act became law, which prohibited discrimination based on disability or various limitations. For us at Norwalk Transit, the ADA requires public transportation agencies to provide transportation solutions for people with mobility impairments, and also requires us to provide safe spaces for wheelchairs on public buses. At Norwalk Transit, it's a big part of our operations. Every year, we provide over 100,000 paratransit trips in the service area here in Norwalk, in Wilton, in Stamford, and in Westport. So we have a very dedicated and knowledgeable staff that are behind the scenes that work to provide this transportation, to train our drivers on wheelchair securement and the proper way to move wheelchairs around and so forth. So as well, we also provide ADA sensitivity training for our entire staff, which I've also taken, and I've learned a lot from that. There's travel training for people that have travel limitations that require certain techniques for executing safe and compassionate and reliable service for our riders. So for many of our passengers, public transportation is the only source of transportation for them. So they rely on us completely to get to where they want to go. Many of our riders know the system better than I do. They know the routes, they know the timetables, they know the bus numbers, they know all these little specifics about our vehicles and service. It's really impressive. So we do our best to really provide the best service for them, and we consider our riders part of our family. So the Americans with Disability Act was enacted 35 years ago today, and it created that mobility, the freedom, and an outlet for higher quality for everyone, for families, and for caregivers. So in Norwalk Transit, we recently renewed our mission, and we had the ADA specifically in mind for this. And so our new mission is moving Southwest Connecticut forward, and our new vision is advancing the community through caring, commitment, and connection. So we really value our passengers. And with that, I just want to thank you guys, and I want to let you know that we're growing our service area. I appreciate being here today and support that the legislator and the mayor has given the Norwalk Transit District, because without that support, we can't provide the transportation that everybody relies on. So one last piece before I wrap up. Pretty soon, we're going to have a new fixed route bus system here in Norwalk. We're going to be launching it August 11th. And this has been designed to create more connectivity and an easier system for the public to understand, with more frequency and easier routes and better connectivity. So there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve, but we're going to learn together, and we're going to advance the community forward together. So really appreciate you guys, and congratulations, and everyone in supporting of this important 35-year milestone for the ADA. So, thank you.
A little bit out of order, but our next speaker has arrived. She's a state representative representing Wilton and the city of Norwalk, and her name is Lucy Dakin. And give her a nice round of applause.
Thank you, everyone. Apologies, I had a work call that ran, and City Hall is bustling today. There's no parking, but it was wonderful to be here and see everybody. And I'm so delighted to live in a community like Norwalk that really recognizes and admires and lifts up people with disabilities. When there are so many attacks happening at our federal level, we are seeing attacks on healthcare, attacks on employment opportunities for our young people, attacks on, even our court system, where there's so many cases of with attacks on the ADA. And these are just being held up. And really right now, I'm just so concerned about our young people who may be missing opportunities because of federal cuts in education. These are directly impacting people with disabilities. And the ADA is the American first before disabilities. And we have to remember that all of our community is part of each other and supporting each other. And if we do not support people with disabilities, we are not supporting Americans. So I am so happy that we live in a community like Norwalk that really puts people first and looks at people before looking at their disabilities. So thank you so much, and thank you to the mayor, and thank you to everyone who's out here today to support our population.
Thank you, Lucy. I mentioned the ramps on the sidewalks before. What I didn't mention was that even the new sidewalks, we're building new sidewalks all over the city of Norwalk. And those sidewalks help people navigate safely. I've seen mothers with baby carriages, seen people with wheelchairs that they can't navigate on the sidewalk because it's cracked or broken, falling apart. So we're looking at that as well, and we want to make sure that we make the entire city of Norwalk safe for people who have these infirmities. Next, first of all, I just want to acknowledge the presence of Gerald Seed, our council person from District A. Thank you for doing it. I want to introduce our Chief of Community Services, who is absolutely remarkable and put together a lot of different programs to help not only people with disabilities, but people from all over the city of Norwalk and beyond, people that need assistance of various kinds. Years ago, Norwalk had a social services agency in the city, and many, many years ago, they closed it down. That was a state agency. Lamont picked the ball up after we hired him a few years back, and he's done a remarkable job. So Lamont, come on up.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mayor. So I'm going to be brief because Bill is going to really let you all know the great things we're doing. But here's a couple of things I do want to elevate in my tenure, and obviously under Mayor Rowland's leadership. Several years ago, when we did restructure what was formerly known as the Human Relations, the mayor and I approached him and said, Mayor, I think we really want to keep the ADA coordination of the work that was done And through the mayor's leadership and common council, we approved the budget to hire Bill 2 years ago. And those that work with Bill, you all know he's a staunch advocate on behalf of Norwalk residents. So shout out to Bill this morning. I can't take no credit. He just used me when I need to push some things around to make things happen. But more importantly, it's about treating people with dignity, respect, and making sure that when you walk in any municipal building, all barriers are removed so you can access the services that we provide. So I just stand here as the Chief of Community Services of the Human Services in my department. I'm really excited to support the great work we're doing under Mayor's leadership to continue. And we're looking forward to continue doing the great work. And Bill will talk about the many initiatives that he has launched. I just need to sign off on it. But really excited to be a part of this great work and take pride in the work that we're doing, supporting all our residents here in the city of Norwalk. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lamont. As Lamont mentioned, we have hired an ADA coordinator for the city of Norwalk because we recognize how important it is. And I'd like to introduce him to come on up right now, Bill Nonick.
Good morning. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Lamont. Thank you all for coming here this morning. So we're here to celebrate disability pride and raise awareness today. I'd like to focus instead on the fact that we all have different levels of ability rather than focus on disability. Many of us take for granted what we're able to do. Until that changes, and it's not hard for that change to come around. We are an aging society. I'm not getting any younger myself, and our state soon will have more people over the age of 65 than at any other time before. And of course, obviously, as you get older, you're more likely to develop a disability. So if you're not experiencing something directly now, the odds get greater as you get older. But most of us have some experience and some connection to someone that has a different ability. But I am happy to say that there are a lot of people that work for the city of Norwalk who recognize that we have an obligation to ensure that everybody, regardless of their ability, has the same opportunity to contribute and enjoy all that Norwalk has to offer. Every department has an obligation to be inclusive, and we do take that to heart. Removing barriers is the main focus of our ADA work, and I do want to recognize that Norwalk is fortunate that we have a group of dedicated volunteers who oversee the work that we do to remove those barriers. The ADA Transition Committee has been around since 2013. Most of our members are here today. Carol Frank, who has been our chair since 2013, was not able to be here today. But Daisy Franklin is here. She's been here with this organization since 2013. We also have, I'm sorry to look at my notes, but Reverend Clark from the Bethel AME Church, Derek DeMarch, who works in our assessor's office, Suzanne Janitti, James McClellan, who I hope is here, Terry Bell, Mike Scovo, who is retired, worked for property management here. Mary Grace Giuliani of STAR is here. Beatrix Lane of the Norwalk Senior Center is here. And recently we've had a couple of new people join our committee, Jan Degenscheid, and I hope Tom Sala is here. I've never met Tom face to face yet, but I'm hoping to meet him today. So as you know, the ADA is a civil rights law. Many people under a certain age take it for granted, but it really hasn't been around that long. And it took a lot of sacrifice to get it signed into law. The obvious parts of the ADA address things like what the mayor's already mentioned: parking, curb ramps, bathrooms. We're all used to seeing those things. The not so obvious things that I try to convince people that we need to be aware of are things like service counters that are too high, information that may not always be understood readily, web content that may not be able to be read by a screen reader, sidewalks in front of cafes and restaurants that don't provide a clear, accessible route. These are things that I see every day that maybe are not so obvious to other people. And what works for one person doesn't always work for another. Some people who are deaf learned to communicate by using American Sign Language. Others prefer or are more comfortable with captioning. So we try to accommodate everyone's needs. Everyone's needs are different. But we recognize that we can always do a better job. There's always a lot more to do. We value your input and we want to hear your voices. I do hear from people occasionally, but I think there's a lot of people out there that don't know who to call. So if you just if you type in ADA on the City of Norwalk's website, you'll find me. And if there's anything I can do to help you, I will do the best that I can. So some of the projects that we have been working on, I'll touch on them unless the mayor was going to read those off. So in the last year or so, as you know, we've constructed a brand new ramp when they were reconstructing the terrace to the concert hall. We built egress sidewalks for the wheelchair seating area of the concert hall. We added a curb ramp to add to accessibility at Calf Pasture Beach, and we funded the completion of a new accessible restroom at the senior center. Projects that are in the works, new ADA accessible signage throughout this entire building, as well as the health department next door. We will be reconstructing most of the service counters in this building so that they are accessible. We are hopefully adding power to a couple of doors at the Sono train station to make that more accessible. And we are undertaking a reconstruction of City Hall Drive right outside our own door, adding curb ramps and raised crossings to make it not only more accessible, but safer for all pedestrians that use that route. Not only for parking, but for those of us who walk back and forth to the train station to work here every day. So there's a lot we can do. We don't want to be an agency that says, do what we say, but we don't do what we say. So we're trying to do that. And thanks to the mayor and common council, we have been given a budget to work on those projects and identify areas that maybe get overlooked otherwise. So that's kind of what I do, is try to look at things. So not sure if it's the correct order or not, but at this time, I will introduce a young man who really exemplifies what people are able to do and through adversity. And he is a rising senior at Fairfield University. He's majoring in political science with minors in United States government and sociology. He is the founder and co-chair of the Fairfield University Disability Awareness Committee and is in his second summer of interning with the New England ADA Center. I'd like to introduce to you Christopher Tripp Lyons.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bill, for that kind introduction and for organizing such a wonderful event for the disability community and our allies. Just a request, everyone, please hold any applause until the end, so as not to interrupt my communication software. Good morning, everyone, and happy Disability Pride Month and 35th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. As Bill said, I'm Trip Lyons, a college senior, and I'm currently interning for the New England ADA Center, but I am speaking in my personal capacity as a disability advocate today. We come together as a community to celebrate the freedoms that the ADA gives to people with disabilities, but also to recognize that the work to implement these freedoms is still ongoing. One key area that the ADA addresses is communication. I use my iPad for communication as my cerebral palsy makes it difficult to understand my speech. At Fairfield University, I get notifications under the ADA such as having access to my iPad for communication and being given advance notice of class discussion topics to prepare comments in advance, since it takes me time to type. These notifications have allowed me to succeed at Fairfield. Thanks to them, I've been able to prove my abilities through leading a disability awareness campaign for campus with events like a disability simulation, being inducted into the Political Science Honor Society, and elected its president. I share this not to promote myself, but to show that without the ADA's guarantee of effective communication, I would not have these opportunities. These ADA requirements about effective communication do not just apply to schools, they apply to local government entities and services. Local governments must legally provide reasonable modifications to help people with disabilities, especially people with speech, hearing, and vision disabilities, communicate. These include sign language interpreters, assisted listening devices, captioning, accessible materials like Braille, and many more. These reasonable modifications allow people with disabilities to showcase our abilities, but only if they are provided to us properly. You all can help us showcase our abilities. I call on our local governments to recommit to providing people with disabilities the tools needed to effectively communicate. That way, as was said 35 years ago on a glorious day in July, the shameful walls of exclusion will finally come tumbling down. Thank you.
Thank you, Christopher. That was actually really inspiring. It's proof positive that a disability doesn't have to be an obstacle to anything. And if we continue to work for people that have disabilities, we can facilitate and help them along the way. You know, Bill mentioned that sometimes we don't, as I mentioned earlier, sometimes we don't really think about things because it doesn't affect us. And the City of Norwalk, at one point, we were guilty of the same thing until we started doing the things that we do. But something very subtle, you know, that after COVID, people were dining outside more often. Well, some of the restaurants were putting their tables outside and making the sidewalks unpassable. Bill noticed that and redesigned some of the areas and told the restaurants, you need to leave a space. I think it's 48 inches.
60, 48 minutes.
48 is the minimum. 60 to 48 is the minimum. So that those little things that somebody might have had a wheelchair or might have had a walker or something and might not have been able to pass somebody out the sidewalk eating their lunch or dinner. Now is the time I'm going to, well, you know what? I'd like to ask Daisy if she'd like to have a couple of words. Daisy is with the ADA commission. And we'd like to have you say a few words.
Thank you, Mayor. Daisy Franklin, I'm on the ADA committee. I'm speaking on behalf of the ADA committee due to the fact that our chairperson, Carol Frank, is not able to be here. But I am proud to be a part of this ADA and the work that we've done since the time I've been here. When I started, I didn't have the handicap that I have now. But we worked and I'm thankful that I was able to be on that type of a committee, which made curves for us to be able to walk on, which helped people that had carriages to be able to walk on a sidewalk. I experienced that when my granddaughters were small. And her mother was pushing the carriage and it was so many cracks and stuff in the wall. It wasn't even enough. It's difficult. And I'm very happy that the mayor has made it and the common council has fixed the sidewalks. The work that the city of Norwalk has done with the traffic lights, what they did in the concert hall, what they did where if we needed hearing aids. It's so much work that Norwalk has done to improve the ADA for anyone that may need the assistance. I'm very proud to be a part of it. And I would like, if it's okay, to ask the ADA committee to stand so people can see you, because the work at the Senior Citizens Center, we have a whole lot of work that's being done and they need to be recognized. Thank you, and I won't take a long time. I just want to I'm very grateful that we have this committee and for the support that comes from the mayor and the common council and the hard work that Bill does. I'm thankful that Norwalk can say that we are ADA compliance and moving on. Moving on.
So now, as standard, what we do is I have had a proclamation written. I'll read the proclamation designating that July is ADA Awareness Month. So it's a proclamation, Americans with Disabilities Act Awareness Month, July 23rd, 2025. Whereas the Americans with Disabilities Act was signed into law on July 26, 1990, to protect the civil rights of people with disabilities and eliminate discrimination based on disability in employment, housing, public accommodations, education, transportation, communication, recreation, institutionalization, health services, voting, and access to public services. Whereas while the City of Norwalk recognizes our responsibility to support the ADA by providing equal access to city programs, facilities, and parks, we also want to encourage all public-facing entities in the city to honor their responsibilities under the ADA by providing people of all abilities the freedom of independent access. And whereas the 35th anniversary of ADA is recognized and celebrated for those who sacrificed and made it possible for today's generation to appreciate the opportunities available and the contributions made by the citizens with disabilities. And whereas numerous organizations in Connecticut, including the City of Norwalk's ADA Transition Committee and the City of Stamford's ADA Advisory Council, work together to ensure that all members of our community have equal, independent enjoyment of our programs, parks, and facilities. And whereas the state of Connecticut seeks to raise awareness by celebrating the 35th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act, there is still so much that needs to be done to promote equality and equity for the 1 in 4 Americans who have some form of disability. Especially as our population ages, that number will likely rise. Therefore, by designing and planning for accessibility, not only improves access for those with disabilities, but it also improves access for everyone. Now, therefore, I, Harry W. Rilling, Mayor of the City of Norwalk, Connecticut, do hereby proclaim July 2025 as Americans with Disabilities Act Awareness Month in Norwalk, and in doing so, ask the citizens to join me in supporting and understanding the Americans with Disabilities Act and encourage all to continue working toward providing equal opportunities for all people. In witness whereof, I have set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Norwalk to be affixed this 23rd day of July, 2025. Reminder of keeping it in front of everybody's mind so that we're always aware. Thank you.
If it's all right, I wanted to thank some people that I know are here today. And I appreciate your involvement and your joining us. Ability Beyond is a local nonprofit organization. Star Inc. Lighting the Red. And also an old friend and former co-worker who now is an ADA advocate and is on the City of Stamford's ADA Advisory Committee, Phil McGalnick. And thank you all for being part of this event. We are going to have a staff training after this. So that's part of what we're doing. And I want to thank the people and the organizations that helped to sponsor that event. The ADA Coalition of Connecticut is one of our sponsors. Our own Guardian Property Management Services. Again, Star Inc. has been very gracious. And the Norwalk Senior Center is also coming. Thank you all again for coming and thank you.
I'd also like to recognize another person who is a partner in the city of Norwalk with making sure that facilities are ADA compliant, and that's the director of the Norwalk Housing Authority, Adam Bobilski. And then thank you very much. I'm sure that people are welcome to sit in on the training.
It's for staff.
It's for staff.
There are some like.
But there are some light refreshments over here rather than heavy ones, so. Thank you all for being here.